935 responding from 990.
935, acknowledge 953.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Division of Fire Safety's YouTube channel. I am Assistant State Fire Marshal Maurice Vandermark, and we are at the Underhill Jericho Fire Department. Now let's see if I can back this in. Hey guys, thanks for watching. Go inside and take a look at some fire safety tips on how to cook safely in the kitchen. So we are here in the Underhill Jericho kitchen with Captain Bob Stone, and he's also an Assistant State Fire Marshal out of the Williston office. Bob, can you tell us a little bit about kitchen safety?
Yeah, thanks for coming today. We like to teach people to be aware of the stove being on and to make sure that when they are cooking to have the handles pointed inward and not outward that someone can bump into and cause a burn to themselves or someone that may be close by, and to keep smaller children at least 3 feet away from the edge of the stove so that they don't get burned.
So now, pot mitts, should they be left on the stove when you're done using them, or should they be moved away, and where should they be, moved to or stored when the stove's not in use or you're not using them?
So the hot mitts really should be out once you place the pan that you're going to use for cooking for the time. You really should have your hot mitts available, not kept in the drawer, have them ready to be used. We don't like to keep anything on the stove. That once you clean the stove, then just keep everything off from it. Don't store anything on the stove at all.
I'll get those off of there.
Okay.
So now, you recently had a kitchen fire in your area that your department responded to, correct?
We did. A lady unfortunately had to contact our department, came in as a medical alarm. And then when our first responders arrived on scene, they discovered that she had severe burns to her hands and arms, and later discovered that she actually had a kitchen fire that was able to be extinguished. So the fire department had to respond, and what led up to this was the woman was cooking and the pan caught on fire because I believe it may have been unattended. However, it resulted in her using water as an extinguishing agent onto a grease fire, and it flashed on her and caused, again, severe burns to her hands and arms. And luckily, it didn't, cause any damage to her lungs that we know of, or to her face and anything like that. So these things happen very, very quickly. So we remind people to not use water as an extinguishing agent when they are cooking.
Correct. So all you viewers know, when there is a grease fire, you do not want to throw water on it. The best case is to put a lid on top of it and to come across the top of the pan instead of from above. So always go across and put the lid on it. Now, if that doesn't work, if the fire is too out of control, it's best to back out, but don't turn yourself away from the fire. Get a fire extinguisher if one's available. If not, just get out, because your personal safety is the #1 priority. And make sure you call 911.
We also remind the public not to store things on their stove. It's not an extension of the kitchen counter, so the pizza boxes, or when you're unloading groceries, try not to, or we recommend not even using it as that, because it's very easy for someone to bump the knob and have the burner actually come on and then get distracted with kids or a telephone call or whatnot, and then all of a sudden we have a kitchen fire. It's actually the #1 cause of structure fires in the United States, and in Vermont we're following that trend as well. So it's very important to people think that things are never going to happen to them, but if they practice fire safety and they keep their contents off from the top of the stove unless they're intending to cook with it, I think that we would have a little bit better statistic here in Vermont.
Also, with electric stoves and gas stoves, two very different. So the electric stoves, they actually, a lot of them have a indicator on the top and it tells you which burner is actually still hot, and it'll stay lit even when you have the stove off. It'll stay lit to let you know that that burner is still hot. I have one of these at my house, and I don't even store anything or trust it even when the light is off, because who knows, something could just bump it, like Bob was saying, and you never know what may happen. Gas stoves, they don't have an indicator, but it's a little bit easier to tell because you can smell the propane if that burner is left on, even though there's no flame underneath the burner. So it's always good to double check when you're done cooking to make sure every knob is turned to the off position.
That same strategy holds true for the oven as well. To make sure that people turn their oven off, and not to store things inside the oven as well. I know a lot of people like to store combustible things, maybe a pie from Thanksgiving or whatnot, but it's not a storage device, and really should keep this oven closed and empty when it's not in use.
Thanks for having us here at your station and giving us these tips and helping us out with this video.
It's my pleasure. Anytime you want to stop by, we would love to have you.
No problem. Thank you.
You're welcome.
We're going to send this outside to grill safety with Assistant State Fire Marshal Patrick McLaughlin.
Thanks, Maurice. Now that we're outside at the Underhill Jericho Fire Department, let's talk about some grill safety. I know it's still March, but grilling is just right around the corner. When grilling, you want to make sure that you have adequate propane. You never want to run out of propane when you're right in the middle of a grill. We're out of propane right now. Also, you want to make sure that you're clear of any space around it, making sure that there's nothing else that could catch on fire while you were grilling. It's also really important to never grill on a deck or under a deck. In a lot of apartment buildings, there's really nice decks, nice place to have a breakfast. It's not the place for your grill, hibachi, or charcoal grill. Those things can become a danger to not only your family, but the community in that building. So make sure you grill off a deck and away from buildings. If you were to have some kind of gas emergency where the flames cut out, or maybe something failed on your system and the gas has been out, you want to make sure that you're able to shut it off, or if you can't get to it, just back away. That space that you've given yourself should be enough protection to make sure that you're not going to be in any danger. And as always, call 911 if you have any emergencies. Enjoy the grilling you may do this summer, and always stay fire safe. We hope you learned something today on this video about cooking and kitchen safety.
And thanks for watching. And remember to always put a lid on grease fires, use caution in the kitchen, and watch the heat on the stove. And remember, smoke alarms and CO alarms save lives.
Alright, so let's address the elephant in the room. Now that we have that, we're kind of under control. Remember to subscribe to the channel over here,
Watch the video from last month up here.
and we'll see you next month.